So one of the really useful things about Windows PowerShell is that you can create scripts that can perform repetitive tasks. Once you've got a collection of scripts, you can run them against a given computer. And with Windows PowerShell remoting, you can run them against any computer to which you have remote management capabilities. To set up Windows PowerShell remoting on a target computer, you need to run either the winrim quickconfig command to enable the appropriate Windows firewall exceptions, in other words, to enable remote management, or you can use the enable ps remoting -force commandlet to achieve the same thing. Once you've set up a computer, you can then connect to it remotely using Windows PowerShell remoting. Bear in mind, if a network connection is assigned to public, this command will fail, and you must manually configure the Windows firewall exceptions. I would say that if you're trying to remotely manage a computer over a public interface, that's probably not best practice, so consider changing the network connection assignment. To use Windows PowerShell remoting, obviously the first thing I'd say is you need to know a bit about Windows PowerShell, so I'm going to assume you have some experience in that area, but you'll typically use the invoke command commandlet. So invoke command, and then you use the computer name property, name the computer, and you can specify multiple computers separated by a comma, and then use the script block parameter, and then within squiggly brackets you put what it is you want to do. In this instance, we're using the get event log commandlet and specifying the system log. So the get event log commandlet can be run locally. So what we're doing here is putting what it is we want to run locally within squiggly brackets, and then using the invoke commandlet to point that to a remote computer. As I said, if you want to do it on several computers, you just put them in the after the computer name property, separated by a comma. So Pearson1, Pearson2, Pearson3, and so on. If you want to establish a persistent connection to a remote computer because you want to do several things to it, you can use the new PS workflow session commandlet. Assign the result of this commandlet to a variable by using the command you can see here, $R, or whatever you want to call it, equals new PS workflow session, and then the computer name. And again, it can be several computer names, Pearson1, Pearson2, Pearson3. And then you to open up a session to those remote computers, you use the enter PS session commandlet and specify the variable name. So that will initiate a remote connection to the one or several computers you've mentioned after the computer name property. So it's a very convenient and easy way of opening up multiple remote PowerShell windows. You'll then see something like this. So it will be indicated Pearson1 and then PS and C:/ and then an arrow. That indicates you've got your remote command ready to run. And then you can enter any remote command you want, just as if you were local to the computer. So in the demonstration, we're going to enable Windows PowerShell remoting, and then we're going to use Windows PowerShell commandlets to remotely manage a computer. So this is my Windows 10 client computer. The first thing I need to do is to enable remoting. A number of different ways of doing that, but both of them are from the command prompt, or rather from the Windows PowerShell window. One way is to use the enable PS remoting commandlet with a force switch, and now you can see that it's performed that configuration change. It's also updated the firewall. Another way to do it is to use the winrim quickconfig command. That's not a PowerShell command, that's a command line tool. That will have the same effect. So on this computer, Pearson/CL, I've enabled PS remoting. So now I need to switch to the other computer to perform management on this one remotely. Okay, so switching to the server. I don't need Server Manager. I'm just going to open up a PowerShell window. So now essentially I can run any Windows PowerShell commandlet against the remote machine and see the result here on my local computer. One way of doing that is to use the invoke command commandlet, invoke command, and then the remote computer name, in this case CL1, and then what it is I want to run in squiggly brackets. So I want it to retrieve information from the event log on CL1 and report it back to me here. Okay, so that is information coming from CL1. It's being run at CL1 and the result is returned to me here. I can also enter an interactive remote session by using the new PS workflow session commandlet. So I'm going to assign that to a variable $R equals a new PS workflow session at computer name CL1. So that will establish a connection with the remote computer and assign the results to $R. And now if I enter PS session $R, you see that my command prompt now changes to CL1. So that indicates to me that I've got my PowerShell connection remotely to that particular computer. So now, for example, if I run the command get net IP configuration, that will return the result for CL1 to this computer. It's also possible to create a new workflow session that connects to several computers, assuming that they're all enabled for PS remoting. So you'd modify the command to say something like $R equals new PS workflow session minus computer name, and then several computers separated by commas, CL1, CL2, CL3. Then when you enter the session, or when you execute a script against it, those commandlets will run on all of those computers and return the results from all of them. So you could make configuration changes. All I'm doing here, as you can see, is retrieving some very basic information from the remote computer. But you can do anything remotely in this way. So it's very powerful. So in the demonstration we saw how to enable Windows PowerShell remoting and how to use it to remotely manage a computer.